and Chris and I got married in September of '95. And I didn't really talk to him. I mean, I knew he was a member of this whatever. And it was just kind of, I thought it was like just a Catholic men's club or something. And after we got married, and actually on our honeymoon, he said, one of the days, he said, today's a very special day. I said, why, other than the fact that we're married? He said, today is my 5th anniversary as a supernumerary of Opus Dei. I'm like, okay. Explain to me, what is it, like a religious order? No, it's not a religious order, it's a prelature. What's a prelature? And he tried to explain it to me. I'm like, so is it like the Dominicans or the Franciscans or? He's like, no. Yeah, exactly. And he's like, no, it's not like that at all. And he's trying to explain it to me. I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. And I really wasn't interested in getting it at that point because, like I said, I had enough that I was just trying to learn about, you know, mass etiquette and by this point, I got pregnant on our honeymoon. So at this point, I'm like sick. I was sick as a dog. We moved cross country to DC. I had an hour and 15-minute commute one way to work on buses and trains, and I didn't have time to really be getting in anything else. But when Cyprian was little, he might have been 4 or 5 months old, he and I went to Michigan to see my folks, and I was kind of channel surfing, and it was like 2 in the morning, and I was watching EWTN, and I caught, 10 minutes after the beginning, this special about St. Josemaria. And so I caught it near the beginning. It was an hour long, almost an hour long. And I remember watching, I'm like, oh, that's that guy that started that whatever that Chris is in. And I remember watching it, and at first, kind of backing up a little bit, I was at first kind of resentful of Opus Dei because I just saw it as this thing that took my husband far away for long periods of time. Because he had, they have, it's called a circle that they go to once a week. And then once a month they have an evening of recollection, which is like 2.5 hours, something like that. And then they go on, I always get the workshop and the retreat confused. But one thing is like 4 days and the other thing's like 5 or 6 days, and they do it every year. And when you live in a big metropolitan area, to go to a 45-minute circle, it's a 45-minute drive there, 45-minute drive back, and so, the evening's like shot. And so I remember just thinking it was just this thing that made him constantly have to go and leave. You're gonna have to hold on, baby. Mommy. Go play with Daddy. Daddy, Daddy, he wants to be in the, where's Daddy?
I think he's feeding the chicken.
Oh, take your brother to go help to do the chores. Cyprian, why don't you guys go help Daddy feed chickens or whatever? Well, just go walk then. Mr. Hula Hoop Boy. And so I always kind of had a chip on my shoulder about the whole thing because I just saw it as one more demand on our time. But then watching this documentary on St. Josemaria just really made him real to me and helped me to see what the point was of all of this and what the point was of the men getting together and the women getting together to do the spiritual formation, and helped me really start getting an appreciation for spiritual formation. Because, where else, it's hard to find a spiritual director because priests are so busy these days that to be able to do one-on-one spiritual direction with a priest, when we were in California, I spent 3.5 years trying to find a spiritual director. Came out here and spent the first 2.5 years we were here trying to find a spiritual director. So what's that altogether? 6 years trying to find a spiritual director, and then it took me that long. And to see that he could get spiritual direction through Opus Dei, I'm like, that is really, really neat. To be able, if you have questions about the faith, or if there's a situation in your life that you want to bounce off of somebody from a perspective of how our Catholic faith is supposed to influence our lives, that he could get that. And that St. Josemaria was all about, not rules and, self-mortification and all, beating yourself and mortifying yourself and doing all these penances, but that it's just about sanctity, it's about holiness, and that really helped drive home to me that the goal of my life is not to be rich or not to be famous or not to have, whatever, but to get to heaven. And my goals for my children should not be just that they be a lawyer, a doctor, or a priest, or whatever, but the one thing that I ought to want for them is sanctity, and that they can get to heaven. And that, again, you don't have to be a monk or a priest or a nun to do that, that it can happen just in your everyday life, and that by the example I set just in how I live my everyday life and how I fulfill my duties in everyday life, I can set that example for my children to help them, hopefully helping them grow in sanctity by the example that Chris and I are setting. And so St. Josemaria and the teachings of Opus Dei were all instrumental in my coming to understand that.